Hello everyone and welcome to what was the old Bandit's den. This is a still picture. I don't live here anymore, but this was it a few years ago. And I took this picture. The purpose of this video is I want to continue carrying the torch that somebody who radically changed my life was carrying 8 years ago, 9 years ago, when I chanced upon his video. This video radically changed my life. Let me pull it up here. This video radically changed my life when I saw it. When I saw this video, I was just going through the motions. I was just surviving. I was just getting by. I didn't think about how I wanted more than living in squalor. I didn't think about how other people who had the same abilities, the same capabilities as me, had what I wanted, and that I had the power within me to get that which was what I wanted too. And this video inspired me. I highly recommend looking it up on YouTube and checking it out if any of you have not seen it. Now this is specific to the MGTOW acronym, right? But I recommend this video even to women that I know, because this is just insanely useful information in here. Now, I want to talk about what I did after watching this. Now, one of the first things he said to do that inspired me was credit score. I had no idea how to get a credit at all, and he put it pretty plain and simply in there. Now, unfortunately, my father died a couple years before I came across that video, and so I didn't have a father figure in my life to teach me this stuff. I wanted to learn it. I wanted to be able to get out of the rut that I was in for so long, and I didn't have anybody that was a leader in my life that could help me. And so that video really came in clutch, as the Zoomers say. And it really, I would probably still be living close to poverty the way I was back then, if not for that video. So one of the first things I did, I was living in a house, not this one. I didn't own this house back then. Some of you have been around since before I bought this house, back when I was renting. I was renting at the time a casita in somebody's backyard. It was a studio casita, and I couldn't afford the baseboard heating of the place, so I just turned off the breaker. And in winter, I built like a makeshift tent around my desk and my bed and put a little space heater in it to keep the temperature around 50. So I would just wear layers and fingerless gloves and sit playing games on my computer, with the dog all wrapped up in sheets on my bed, so that she could stay warm. And then the rest of my house would get below freezing. I would leave the faucets running so that they wouldn't freeze. And I would just brave the sub-zero temperatures while I was cooking my food and to take a shower. You know, and when I would get out of the shower, I could see my breath. And it was pretty bad in winter over there. In summer, it wasn't as bad. But I had a few winters like that in that house, and a few winters like that before in other places. So, that video, I did the first thing that he said, and I went and got what was called a secured credit card. And so what the bank does, see, I was a nobody. I was making just above poverty level money. I had no credit. I was nobody at all in the eyes of the credit bureaus. And so I wasn't able to borrow any money, such as the money that I borrowed to buy this house, which was one of my stepping stones to the success that I have now. So I needed to exist. I needed to exist according to these credit bureaus, because as far as they were concerned, I didn't. So I went to my bank. I asked for a secured credit card. They said they would have to quarantine $300 in my savings account. And I say, yeah, that's okay. I had like $400 in my savings account at the time. And I was like, yeah, I'll just have to cross my fingers that no emergencies come up. And so what they do is they quarantine that, and then that's what your credit card limit is. And so you're essentially borrowing against your own money, and they can still charge you interest at the end of the month. So I did what Mayor of Midtown said and paid off my credit card before the end of every month. And what I was doing in order to qualify for buying this house, what I was doing with that credit card is I would buy one coffee at a gas station per month. And I would pay that coffee off immediately, long before the end of the month. And after 6 months of doing this charade, I had a credit score of 650, which easily qualified me for this shithole of a house that I was living in. And this shithole of a house that I was living in, I ended up taking out an FHA loan. I ended up liquidating a 401k that I had been putting into for 7 years, I think. I ended up liquidating it. The 401k manager wasn't too happy about it. He tried to convince me to stay around. He said the only possibility is line go up. And I told him, I don't like 401ks anymore, okay? And this is why. I told him why I didn't want a 401k ever again. And that's because I was invested with them in very risky areas because I was young. I was taking their highest risk options, and those markets were exploding. They went up close to 300% during the time I was putting in, and so I should have ended up with somewhere around $25,000, but all that was in the account was $11,000, and that didn't make any sense to me. I asked him what the deal was, and yeah, he showed me a breakdown of their fees. So they were essentially charging me like $70 a month just for my stocks to sit there in their portfolio, and so that was stunting the growth of my account. So they were essentially just skimming all of the profits of my account off and putting it in their pocket. And that's why 401k companies exist in the first place. Of course, they're skimming your profit off of the top. That's why I don't like them. Later on, that guy ended up closing his firm because it was found he was a crooked fucker. So I don't trust other people with my money. I can invest in stuff myself. Anyway, before I get off on a rant about how angry I still am about that, in short, I liquidated the 401k, ended up taking a pretty large tax penalty on it, and I ended up with like $9,000, which was enough money to get an FHA loan on this house in the ghetto and pay my closing costs. And yeah, it was a shithole house in a shithole neighborhood, and it sucked. But I really, really, really wanted to stop burning all of my money on that rent in a house I couldn't even be comfortable in, that I couldn't even modify in ways that would help me be more comfortable despite living in squalor. In this house, I was able to modify because it was mine. And it was my investment. Some of that money every month that I was paying on the mortgage instead of rent, some of that money was not just going to interest, it was going to principal, which is pretty much going back in my pocket in the form of an asset. So, yeah, it was a money crunch at first. I had just transitioned careers. I was working in a dead-end job when I saw that video. I was working in a dead-end job at a warehouse. And it was an alcohol warehouse. And I talked to one of the... This is one of the strongest things I've found, is talking to people and then coming to your own conclusions about shit. Because I was working as a truck loader and order picker, and I was the best order picker in the warehouse, and they just wouldn't promote me, and I was getting frustrated about it. And I was capped off at $14 an hour, which was a decent amount of money to me. It's one of the highest paying jobs I had ever gotten, but it still sucked. So I asked one of the forklift operators there. I was like, "You started where I'm at?" Where I'm at, and he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "So after 11 years of service, what are you capped at?" And he said $20 an hour. And I was like, "Well, that's not a huge fucking jump." And that's after 10 years. He was there. He was there like 11 years, and they capped him off finally at 10 years. At 10 years, finally, he hit the roof for the pay. And I was like, yeah, I don't like that. I don't want to wait 10 years just to make $6 more an hour. And so I started looking around. I wanted to get back into construction because I was in construction before. And let me get rid of this. That was there to cover up a book. So what I ended up doing is I applied to 3 different trades. I applied to a fire protection company, a plumbing company, and an electrical company. Because I looked at it, and those were the highest paying trades of all of them. I really liked framing and ironwork, but those didn't pay as high, so I wanted to chase the money. That's what I wanted to do. So I chased the money. And I answered back to the first one that most strongly was interested. The fire protection guys, they would hit me back, and they were kind of wishy-washy about it. The plumbing company never got back to me. The electrical company absolutely needed an apprentice right now. So that's what I got into. Turns out electrical is the highest paying trade, except for elevator guys and crane constructors. Though elevator guys and crane constructors have to do a lot of travel work, so I wasn't going to do that. I'm not going to do that anyway. So I got into electrical, and I found out that once I got to a journeyman level in 4 or 5 years, I would be capped at $23.50. And that was a lot better than getting capped at 20 after 2 years. After 10 years. 10 years to make $20 an hour, or 4 to 5 years to make $23.50. So I felt like I was moving up, though I did take a pay cut. I took a $3 an hour pay cut. I went down from 14 to 11 to become an electrical apprentice. So that hurt me quite a bit, and I was the squeaky wheel, and I eventually got grease. I kept telling them how it was difficult to make ends meet, and eventually, by the time I got into my second half of the first year, I was making $2 an hour more than that, so I was only $1 an hour short of what I was making. So by that time, I had closed on this house. And then I was looking into, my pay is going to expand significantly over the next few years. As long as I am successful and keep my nose to the grindstone, it's going to expand significantly. What I didn't know is just how much it was going to expand. I thought in 4 or 5 years I was going to be making $23.50. So I wanted to come up with a plan. See, this is my backyard. This was an abandoned building next to it that drug dealers would move in here and start a trap house out of it, and crackheads would jump over this wall. I got this wall built. It was only too high when I bought the place. I got this built. This was when I was a third-year apprentice. I had saved up $5,000 to get this wall built. So, I didn't know exactly how much it would expand. I thought it'd be... So I looked into what I can do to store money. And I learned from podcasts and stuff about what wealthy people do. And this is, alright, listen up. If you haven't been listening this whole time, this is one of the most critical pieces of information I have to share with you today. What wealthy people do versus what nobodies do. Alright? All the nobodies of society, I could tell you what they do. You could tell yourself, if you're going to be honest with yourself, what they do. Is they get a paycheck and they spend it all by the next paycheck. Either that, or they will throw some of it in their savings account and forget it's there. And that's the extent of where their money goes. They either spend it all, or they throw it in a low percentage interest yield savings account and forget about it. Because people say all the time in society, oh, save your money, be sure to set some aside, this and that. And everybody takes that so fucking literally. So many people I know take it completely literally. Saving money in savings accounts. Well, it's called a savings account. People say to save my money, and it's called a savings account. You know, so I'm doing it correctly, right? No, you're doing it incorrectly. You're doing it completely fucking wrong. Alright? These are the dogs having a play fight. I ended up breaking it up because they started getting a little out of control. But this is the shithole that I lived in, and I got this rug for free. I found it in a dumpster. That was one of my survival instincts there. I would always rifle through dumpsters. So, back to what I was saying. Oh, and I bought this truck cash because at the time I didn't believe in, and I still don't believe in, financing vehicles. I bought this for $16,000, and the goddamn thing probably made me over 200 grand going to and from work and selling scrap metal. So anyway, saving money in a savings account is not what the fuck you do. What you do to save money is you fucking invest. Buy properties. Crypto is a very risky bet. If you're younger, do that. I don't know if I recommend it for older people because it's very volatile. But yeah, property, crypto, stocks, precious metals. I swear there's something else I'm forgetting. Damn. It's a little late for me. Excuse me, I had to take a drink. Futures and shit. And then, very, very secure and safe bets are certificates of deposit. And that's one thing Mayor of Maketown talked about was CDs. Right now, at this very moment, I don't know about CDs too much because inflation is just so insane right now. I don't think even a CD keeps up with it, but it is indeed a lot better than a savings account. Savings accounts, well, let me tell you this, alright? Rich people are not rich because they hold large amounts of cash. That's not what they do. When you look up some wealthy or famous person's net worth, that net worth is not calculated by how much money they have in their pocket. It's calculated by their royalties and their assets. Okay? It's counting their royalties and their assets. Who knows how much cash they have. But I believe, generally, the only time a wealthy person holds a really large amount of cash for very long is because they have liquidated an asset in order to purchase another one. Or they just have such heaping flows of revenue in that what you and I consider a large amount is like pennies to them. So what I do is I start getting really antsy when my savings account is getting close to 5 figures. $10,000. I start getting antsy. And so I start dumping my money. When I get close to that, I start dumping my money into assets. One round recently, I I bought 3 half-acre properties that are near a solar field that I think may want to expand in the future. And, you know, if they want to expand in the direction my properties are, well, they're going to have to buy me out. I think that's a really good investment. Another thing I'm pretty sure I saw a MGTOW guy doing with his land was he bought little half-acre parcels of land or 1-acre parcels of land, and he would charge people monthly to store their shit vehicles on his land. I think that's probably a pretty good idea. Mayor of MGTOwn also capitalized off of the rooms in his house to make extra money. Me, I don't have that kind of drive for acquiring value. So what I do is I work and I do the occasional side project. I really drag my ass into side projects. You know, I'm just pretty comfortable at this point because, like I was saying before, I wasn't expecting my earnings potential to reach what it has. I thought I would end up getting capped at $23.50, and I didn't think about the future beyond that. Well, by the time I got licensed, see, at this time, I was in my 3rd year as well. This was pretty much right after I got this wall built, and I bought this truck cash for $1,600, and I was in my 3rd year on that project. I didn't even have my journeyman's license yet. On that project, I was making $32 an hour. It was a scale project. Then later on down the road, on another scale project, after I got licensed, I ended up making almost $50 an hour. So I had no idea, you know, what immense value this whole thing was going to bring to my life. This was my warehouse in that shithole house. This was in the backyard. See my truck right there. And this, see right here, I would save scrap metal, scrap wire. Over here is some scrap wire too. And then this, I was building a wall, because one of my attempts to create value out of my property, I kind of took some of my inspiration from Mayor of MGTOwn with him renting out his rooms. I built out this area here, back here, to be a grow house. And I started growing weed before it got legalized. And I wasn't going to sell it when it was legal. What I wanted ultimately to do was start a grow op and get it certified and start selling to dispensaries. That was my idea. The whole thing ended up falling through, but since I know how to build this shit, this wall ended up costing me like $200. And all of the grow equipment I ended up selling before I moved out of Albuquerque anyway, so I got most of my money back from that. Yeah, this is the squalor that I lived in. I'll show you some pictures later of where I live now. So, they make it pretty easy now to do without a 401k manager or a manager of your investments. They make it pretty easy to manage your own investments yourself. Precious metals, alright? Precious metals, I don't ever recommend getting paper precious metals. You can buy papers that are certificates that say you own these precious metals that are held in so-and-so place or whatever. Whatever it says on it. It just claims that you own this silver, but you don't actually have it in your hand. I have so little trust in people now that I highly recommend keeping physical silver on hand. Keeping it in a safe and bolt that fucker to your wall. Same for gold if you collect that, but silver is very easy to liquidate. Alright, so for stocks, I just use Robinhood. It's insured up to I think 250K, just like a regular bank. I'll have to double check that, but I'm not nearing the maximum insured on it yet, as far as I know. I really ought to check it. But I use Robinhood for my dividend stocks, and I really like dividend stocks over any other kind, because what dividend stocks are is the company decided to set aside a certain percentage of their profit every quarter and distribute that percentage among their shareholders. And so you get distributed a certain amount of money per share, and it changes every quarter, per share every quarter. And you get that injected into your account. And what you can do with that is just use that essentially free money to buy even more stocks. And the whole idea behind stocks in general is they're supposed to pretty much stay afloat above interest. Oh yeah, and this is what I was getting to about saving money in your bank account. Every year you see those inflation numbers, right? If inflation was 6% this last year, that means 6% of your money in your fucking savings account. I'm probably not mathing it right. It's probably some other figure. But some percentage of your money, of the value of your money in your savings account just vanishes because they're printing money. And by printing money, they're stealing value out of your savings account. They're making the money in your savings account worth less. It has less buying power. Even though it's the same number as last year, it has less buying power. I know a lot of people have trouble grasping this, alright? But if let's say there's only 1 million apples in the world, and you have 2 apples, right? And then next year, and let's say apples don't rot, okay? Apples are used for bartering. You have 2 apples. Well, tomorrow, another 1 million apples come out of the sky. So now there's 2 million apples. There's twice as many apples as there used to be. So now the trading value of your apples is cut in half because it's supply and demand, right? And that's how markets work. If there's more of something and the same amount of demand, right, then it's worth less. And that's essentially what's happening with currency. There's nothing securing it from losing value. And as there's more of it in circulation, the less its perceived value. I was watching a video the other day of some 90s punk kids that were fucking around in a gas station, and one of them bought 3 things at the gas station with $1. He put one thing on the counter, she gave him change for his $1. He put another thing on the counter, he paid with some of the change, and she gave him a few pennies back. And then he put another thing on the counter and gave her almost the rest of his change. And I was like, holy damn, you can't buy anything for less than $1 at a gas station anymore. And that's how it is. I mean, even in the last 8 years since I first watched that video for Mayor of MGTOWN, buying power is completely different. Here, let me put my mask on because I want to show you something. So what you don't want to do is just hold money in your savings account. At least large amounts. You can have some for emergencies. Like I'm saying, I like to keep it under $10,000. People always say, bullshit. Oh man, I hate this. It bothers me. People say, oh, make sure to have like 6 months of your income in savings. That's bullshit. It doesn't take you 6 months to fucking liquidate something. Only have up to $10,000. All right. Now let me switch to my webcam here. Only have up to like $10,000. All right. in your savings account. Because if you have assets and it really comes down to it, it's an emergency, and you have to liquidate assets, I mean, no emergency is going to cost you more than fucking $10,000, dude. But let's say you break your leg, and $10,000 is only going to cover you for 2 months. You need to cover that last month for healing your leg. Well, you know, you can sell some stocks. You can sell some silver. That shit isn't going to take more than a month to sell. Seriously. So, anyways, this is an example here. See that fucking huge-ass dog bed in the corner right there? That giant dog bed? That thing, when I bought it, it was like $120, and it was my Christmas present to the dogs. And I was sitting here thinking before I made this video, and I was thinking, shit, man, $120 dog bed. These dogs are worth it. These dogs are great. Definitely worth it. And they deserve it, because they're angels. But I was like, fuck. $120 dog bed. I bought a truck before this one that I bought off of Craigslist for $700 in pretty good running condition, and I kept it running for years using it. That's why I bought this one, to replace it. I was like, damn, $120 for a dog bed would have broke me for like a couple months back in the day. Nowadays, it was like nothing. Now, that's partly because my wage has gone up so much as a result of establishing myself in an actual career instead of a dead-end job. And I also pay significantly less, even on this new house, significantly less in mortgage than most people are paying rent nowadays. So my cost of living is lower than most people's, but yeah, $120 dog bed, that would have fucked up my finances those 8 or 9 years ago when I first saw that video. I would have had my finances all out of whack for like 2 months over that damn dog bed. But today, I was just like, hey, Merry Christmas. Here's the fucking dog bed, and it didn't even tickle me. So anyways, back to what I was talking about. The reason why I wanted to get real estate and live in my investment, that's what buying a house is. You're living in your investment. This house right here, I designed and built this hydroponic system. Sometimes I do squander money, and that's why I put this here. This cost me about $350. This was right after I had got laid off, and I decided to take some time off of work, and I was bored one day, decided to design a hydroponic system on paper, and then I built it in real life, and it worked. And I grew lots of good herbs for my garden in it, because I lived in the desert. See how desolate it is. This is an area where it rains a lot, relatively, compared to where my house was. And so that thing only costed me, this hydroponic system was only 25 gallons a month to keep filled and keep circulating. So I had fresh garden herbs for a long time to use in my kitchen, which was right behind here, right behind this wall. There was my kitchen. And so I had this little garden of fresh herbs to cook with. And so, you know, little morale boosters, it was kind of expensive for me to do this, but I was bored. It kept my morale up, and it also gave me some really tasty additions for my food along the way. So don't forget to do little things like this. Don't fucking spend $350 on screwing off at a bar or a club or some stupid fucking trip that only lasts a couple days. Like this thing I used for 2 years. And it gave me consistent fresh herbs to use in my kitchen. Alright. So it was a bit of a frivolous thing to do, but I still got some value out of it. Try to be practical with the things that you spend your money freely on like that. But you know, for me, I gotta let loose and do crazy shit like this once in a while with my money. Otherwise, I lose my sanity a little bit, and I'm like, hey, you know, why the fuck did I push for all of the success that I have now if I can't enjoy some of it? And I think the mayor of MGTOWN would probably agree with me, because he had some really nice cars. This kind of shit. This is free, just about. It just costed me the gas to get to the foot of the mountain. And I'll show you later, I've gone on similar trips here where I live now. This kind of shit is what I do. I took a road trip last year, and I drove a Prius on my road trip. I slept in my Prius with the dogs on the road trip. And the whole trip, it was 6 days. I drove close to 2,000 miles in 6 days, and the whole damn trip cost me about $120, including my food and gas. I didn't pay anything for hotels because I slept in the fucking car. So it was almost free as far as you know, 1 week trips go, compared to other people's. Other people spend 4 or 5K on a 1 week trip. I spend $120. So this kind of stuff, hiking is just about free, and you get to reorganize your mind, breathe some fresh air, get some exercise in, ground yourself into fucking reality, and you can organize your thoughts. And this is the kind of stuff. This is still in New Mexico. Before I sold that house in the shithole and got myself finally the hell away from a shithole area, living in squalor, all of that stuff. I finally broke free of that, and I worked toward it all those 8 years, ever since I saw that video. I know I'm patting myself on the back a lot here, but I just gotta say it, like, this stuff actually works. Doing what the wealthy people do, instead of saving money in cash. You're getting robbed when you do that. Buy assets instead. Buy real estate. Buy real estate, precious metals, stocks, crypto. Also diversify in your sectors with stocks. I'm pretty well diversified. Anyway, yeah, this kind of stuff, this helped keep me going. You can't just work your ass off. At least I can't. Some people are built like that. I have a friend who is, but I think he's a minority here. I think most of us need a little bit of R&R. And going out, just letting loose, going out into the mountains, or to a lake, or walking across some fields, you know, grabbing anyways. This is the kind of shit that helped keep my morale up while I was grinding and working toward. And there's Klaus. We were way up. See, that's the top of another mountain range over there. We were way up. This was an overlook. I don't know why I didn't get a picture of the overlook. Did I? No, I guess I didn't. But yeah, he was trying to hide from the heat in that bush. Yeah, so see, this is the shithole I lived in, and then this was a 1/4-inch piece of steel, and I would jump behind it whenever there were drive-by shootings, and because I was always paranoid about getting hit. But the good thing about that house was, it was a store of value. When I sold it, thanks to all of the COVID shit, when I sold it, houses had already soared, even in the ghetto. It didn't go up nearly as much as other stuff in the city. Unfortunately, when I got the itch to buy property, I wasn't really ready for something that would have yielded me a lot more, unfortunately. But if I had waited any longer, I would have missed the opportunity entirely. So I did make out pretty damn good. I pulled out just about all of my money, including the money that I spent on interest. And I got to give us a pretty good life. Oh, I think... No, this is from a different trail. Yeah, this is not where Klaus was hiding under a bush over here. This, I think, was the top of the Eagle Nest trail over by the Three Gun Springs trailhead. Three Gun Springs trailhead goes up here. I think that's part of it right there. It goes way up. I hiked pretty much all the trails on this side of the mountains right here. And that was how I would get away from it all. It's fucking rough, man, when you're trying to get yourself out of the shit. And hopefully somebody watching this is wanting to get themselves out of the shit right now. And it's fucking hard. And this is one thing I did pretty frequently to keep myself in the game. Out here, it's not ghetto, you know, like, it's just me, unforgiving nature. Out here in the desert, like, you know you're just a visitor, right? You know you would be dead in a couple days if you tried staying out here. You're not a permanent fixture out here, but it was really nice to just get away. And it kept me going. And appreciating the small things is what kept me going too. Yeah, I don't know. I would put this. I would get mice. I had holes all over my house, so I would get mice all the time. So I'd catch them. I would hold them. I would hold them until spring and then release them, because I knew letting them out in the middle of winter was a death sentence. So I would just hold on to them. This is one way I saved money right here. Because I work construction, I had access to a lot of pallets. This was a very thick pallet here. And so I would use a skill saw to cut up pallets and burn them in a wood-burning stove in my living room that I installed myself. Now, a very dear friend gave me the money to build that stove because she saw that I was cold in winter and wanted to help, so she funded my wood stove and chimney construction project that I did myself. Now, this was right before one of my mistakes. This is my brother over here. And I was dropping off Klaus to stay with him and the dogs because I went off to this fucking... I got into a relationship, guys. I'll just say it. And for me, personally, that was a mistake. This is a picture I took when I was out there meeting her for the first time. I got on a plane and flew out there to meet her. And for me, this was a huge fucking mistake, man. Because I have trouble controlling myself in relationships, and so this whole thing ended up costing me, the whole relationship in the end ended up costing me at least $30,000 worth of cash. And that's cash. Now, this was during a time when I really, really wanted to be investing in Bitcoin, and we had arguments over this shit, and it was... I severely regret this, because this was a time when I was making a fuck ton of money. And I ended up spending it, almost all of it, on this one person. And because I have no self-control in relationships. If the person says they're unhappy, then I just like throw my everything at it and try to make them happy. And you know, guys, you can't make an unhappy person happy. If somebody is determined to be unhappy, then let them be. And that's something that I just can't understand. I fail at fucking remembering that all the time, and I get myself all wrapped up in other people. And in general, I'm pretty much a hermit in real life. I do go and hang out with people occasionally. I'm going to a Renaissance fair in a couple weeks with a friend. I go to another friend's homestead for holidays and stuff. But besides that, I mostly keep to myself because shit, maybe I'm too nice. I don't know what my fucking problem is, but yeah, so that was when I wanted to buy Bitcoin, and at the time Bitcoin was down to $16,000. I did manage to buy about a little less than half of one at the time, and so you know, I could have bought 2 Bitcoins with that money, and maybe and then some, and you know, I would have a fuck ton of money now, but instead I decided to do this stupid fucking thing that brought no value to my life, and all it did was detract financially. So, highly do not recommend getting into relationships. Getting into a relationship is not a way to build wealth, guys. It's not a way to drag yourself out of the mire at all. It'll just bring you down further. So, word of caution. Oh, this is a horrible picture. Yeah, this is on top of a facility. I was working on these rooftop units, and I was like, wow, those clouds are cool. Taking a moment to appreciate the little things. This kind of shit, some days, this is all I had. Because I would be working in a high-stress environment. Tradesmen are moving out of Albuquerque because it's a shithole. And tradesmen make enough money to move the fuck out. And so they have a severe shortage. And because there's a severe shortage, there is always too much work to be done. And so it's a high-stress environment. You have to always be working. It pays a lot better in Albuquerque than most of the nation because of that. But also because of that, it is a lot more stressful out there to work in this career. And so I was in a high-stress environment all the time. I would go home to a place where there was all kinds of drive-by shootings, and it was fucking rough, dude. So this is one thing. This is free. Taking a second to appreciate the beauty of something around you. Taking a second to get out of your fucking head. And just chill for a second. That's free. And collect yourself. I had to do that a lot. That's why I put these pictures in here. To talk about what I do. Coping mechanisms for being in the shit. Helping you keep your drive to get out of the shit. So this is some of the work that I've done. Yeah, up there. So that's me hiking with Klaus. Another human being took this picture. But yeah, that's the kind of shit we love doing. And this is a character I invented because of this topic. Stop wasting your money on partying. And then somebody says, oh, what do I do with my money? Buy dividend stocks and property, of course. And yeah, this is graffiti. This is illegal. Don't do this. I am a fucking animal. Alright? So this is a backpacking trip. This was after I got myself out of the mire to a certain extent, and this was when things started looking more hopeful. I was licensed. I was now single. I was dumping a whole fuck ton of money into investments. My property value had skyrocketed as a result of the COVID stuff. My net worth at this point was approaching six figures. Finally, it's like the most I had ever been worth. And so I took a backpacking trip with Klaus out to Santa Fe. We went to Spirit Lake in Santa Fe. If any of you are ever out that way, definitely go try that backpacking route that I've taken. It's very great. Now this has turned kind of into my fucking life thing here. Instead of I'm just ranting at this point. So here, this is from where I live now. I'm sure you can see the stark difference. Forests. I actually own a section of property like this. This isn't it, but I took this picture on a hike, and I own this kind of thing now. A good chunk of it. And this is the summation of the video now. You saw the Bandit's Den that we started in originally, a shithole in a desert urban shithole environment. And now this is pretty much what I see out of my living room window. I'm sitting here looking at this monitor that I have my webcam on. Oh, where's my face cover? Yeah, I'm sitting here in my living room, and I have this window. I'll show you. As I'm sitting here looking at you guys, and then 180 degrees turned around right here is a window, and my window looks at this exact scene right here. And that's a result of not putting all of my fucking money in the savings account. Don't do that. That is not how you save money. That's how you save currency, but that's not how you save value, man. That's not how you keep the value of your labor. Just putting money in a savings account isn't gonna fucking get you here, okay? You need to actually buy assets and be smart about it. Don't just buy a bunch of dickhead coin and think you're gonna fucking make it. Don't just dump $30,000 into fuck off and die coin, because that's what it's gonna do. It's gonna fuck off and die when somebody pulls the rug. It always fucking does that. Don't buy that fucking meme coin shit. Buy stocks. And some people say that stocks are the same as crypto. It's not. It's a stake in an actual company that produces actual products. And so unless the whole world goes to hell in a handbasket, which it could, your well diversified stocks are not going to go to zero. And by diversified, as far as stocks go, I'm talking about the different sectors, right? Now I'm waiting for my phone to load because it's a piece of shit. I've had this phone for 3 or 4 years now. Even though it takes forever to load, I just don't see a reason to replace it just yet. Where is it? Okay, yeah, so the diversification you want to look at is trying to get kind of an even spread across all of the sectors. Energy and water, consumer goods, tech, media and telecommunications, finance, healthcare, manufacturing and materials, business and hospitality. You want to split your money up between all of that shit. Don't put like all 100% hospitality, because if that sector has issues, you're gonna have issues. You know, energy and water is a good one, because it's a good one to go heavy on, because we'll always need energy and water. tech, media, and telecommunications is alright too. I have about 10% of my portfolio in that. Yeah, my highest amount is energy and water, which is 26%. And then I have 20% in consumer goods because I know people are stupid. I'm banking on people being dumb fucks and buying shit they don't need. Consumer goods, a lot of them are exactly that. It's dumb shit that you don't fucking need. And people are stupid. People don't believe any of the shit in videos like this that I've fucking gone over. And they just decide to keep living how I was. You know, living in their rentals, spending all of their fucking money, putting their money in savings accounts, and just sitting on it for just in case, because it seems like the safe option, but you know 100% you're getting fucked. At least, after learning stuff that I have learned, you know 100% you're getting fucked. That's the only guarantee there is you're getting fucked. Out of your value. So yeah, when I moved here, I was so excited because there's water where I live, and I started a garden. Now, this actually looks more like what's outside of my window. Yeah, it's fucking awesome, dude. It's so awesome, and that's all. This shit is exactly how I did it. This right here, this is on my property. This is my first row of my garden I had set up. And look, I found this in my backyard. Well, in my forest in my backyard. And, yeah, I go walk around in my forest and I find cool shit like this. This is actually caused by a bug larva. And it gets into the leaf, and the oak leaf has a growth that grows around the larva. And it creates this. I forget what it's called. It's like a oak pimple or some shit. But I was like, whoa, what is that? Is that an egg? And I found it, and I looked it up, and I learned all about it. And I get to do this shit now. Instead of, like, you know, hiding behind that 1/4-inch piece of steel. Where is that? Where the fuck is that? 1/4-inch. Oh, did I pass it? Yeah, there. That 1/4-inch piece of steel, you know, that's the kind of shit I used to do in my backyard. And cutting up pallets to stay warm, wherever that is. Yeah, I would go back there and cut up pallets to stay warm, and then, you know, if there's a drive-by shooting, run behind the 1/4-inch piece of steel. You know, by doing all this investing shit, not putting too much in savings and stuff, I was able to move into a situation like this, where I go in my backyard and look at that, find cool shit like that. And this is at my old house. The shithole. This is baby Klaus. So, I guess that's where we'll stop that. Oh man. This is a lot longer and less organized of a video than I intended. I hope you guys got something out of it. I hope somebody gets something out of it. You know, and if any of you know Mayor of Megtown, let him know. He radically changed my life with that video. And I'm super grateful. If he didn't get to anybody with that video, he changed one life radically, and potentially even saved my life. There are a few people who I believe saved my life. The way I was living before that, I had no hope in anything. I was just a machine, existing in squalor, shitting out process. And see, here's the big old Klaus. There's the baby Klaus from way back when. That's when he first learned how to walk. He couldn't even walk when I got him because his mama died. So yeah, he couldn't even walk. And now look at him, big guy. Yeah. And me, I couldn't even walk. I wasn't able to manage fucking anything until I saw that Mayor of Megtown video, and it lit a spark in my mind somehow. And I'm very grateful for that. Now that video isn't the be-all, end-all, for sure, end-all. It's definitely not the end-all of knowledge as far as that stuff goes, but he does lay down a good foundation of where to start for somebody who has no fucking idea. And I hope I did too, through all of my ranting, where to start. Secured credit card, buy a house, invest, get yourself into an actual fucking career. It doesn't have to be my career, but get yourself into one instead of a dead-end fucking job, and buy assets. Don't save in a savings account. Save enough for actual emergencies, short-term emergencies. Then if something's long-term, you could tap into your assets if you really fucking have to. But you should do your best not to, because compounding interest, something after 10 years looks totally different than 30 years. 30 years down the line, shit's worth a lot. But that's what I'm aiming for. I hope all of you enjoyed the video. I'm gonna take this guy outside. And you guys have a good night. Peace.